Welcome back to Blake's Craft Beer Podcast. My name is Blake Longfellow. I'm super excited for today's episode. I'm back in Mason, Ohio at Sonder Brewing. We're just borrowing them, but it's an excellent brewery, and I'm talking to this awesome guy who runs a pretty cool beer thing. So please please introduce yourself and tell me your role.
Great. Well, happy to be here. And can we cheers first? We're looking at these two delicious beers, medal-winning beers, just sweating in this awesome 90 degrees heat. So Blake, it's awesome to be here. My name is Spencer Mapes. I'm the director of the U.S. Open Beer Championship, and I am just excited to be talking to you and drinking some of this year's medal-winning beer from Sonder Brewing.
Yes, cheers. Oh wow. Which one did we start with? The same one? Yes, we did.
So
yeah,
I think that's the Divot, their
Yes.
tea beer. That beer won silver in our tea beer category.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, you might be asking yourself, what the heck is a tea beer? Well, we're one of the few competitions that have tea beer that is judged. And this one is like your kind of, I think there's Arnold Palmer but yeah, anyways, Blake,
But
kick us off.
you think it would help me on the golf course?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, dude. You kick the Mick Ultra aside and take some Divot out there.
Yes. You can't make it any worse. So, but hey, so tell me your role into beer, into the position you're in.
Thank you. Yeah. So currently I'm acting as director for the U.S. Open Beer Championship, and then I also serve as honorary director for the U.S. Open Whiskey and Spirits, the U.S. Open Hard Seltzer, and the U.S. Open Hard Cider competitions as well. I've been in this role now for 3 years. This is my third year as director. Previously, I was a judge for the Open for about 8 years. And before that, I did large-scale event planning for the Cincinnati Chamber, putting on events like Cincinnati's Oktoberfest and Blink and Taste of Cincinnati. Still love to go to those, but my passion is in beer, but mostly also in highlighting and promoting great beer here in the country.
How did that passion start? Is it something that grew in your position, or is it something you always had a passion for?
So this passion actually started in a wine shop. My senior year in college, I was struggling to pay stuff, already having 2 jobs. I was like, you know what? I need to find a third job. And so that job was at a cool little wine shop called Main Street Gourmet, RIP, no longer there. But while there, I was just mostly interested in wine. I wanted to learn about wine. It was fascinating to me. The owner had a ton of books. Nobody shopped there. It was, so it was my study time to learn about wine. But he also had a lot of craft beer. And I didn't know. I was like, craft beer? Like, what makes it craft? What's an IPA? What's a milk stout? I remember trying left-hand milk stout for the first time, drank it straight from the bottle, spit it out, thought someone was spitting their tobacco dip in there, and so I kept giving it a try. I'm like, I got to figure this out. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with wine. So it was on my radar. Couldn't really figure it out. And then I moved to Cincinnati. My first job was actually at Jungle Gyms in Fairfield as their bartender. They had a tasting bar of wine and beer. Now, my wine knowledge got me hired there, not my beer knowledge. And I quickly learned that the wine they had for tasting was what you'd call bottom to mid shelf for those patrons. Of anywhere from $5 to $15 is the wine. Now it's kind of the lowbrow wine, but I didn't really promote that because I was like, here's your sugar water. But what I did find was 16 tap handles of beer that I have never heard of, but I wanted to know about it. And so from then on, I started studying just craft beer, where it came from, and I quickly realized it was a lot easier to grasp craft beer knowledge than it was wine knowledge, and it was more fun and affordable. I went from, budgeting $100 for a couple bottles of wine to $30 for a couple mixed 6-packs. So I got to try these beers. I got to talk to the reps that they came in there. This was the early days. Rheingeist was just getting off the ground. And I remember one of their sales reps came in She had 2 bottles. One of them was like their porter or something. She's like, "Hey, we're Rhine guys. We're a little brewery, and over the Rhine, you want to try our beer? We'd love to be on tap here." And so I tried their beer there, and then, soon enough, a month later, they were doing a tap takeover. I couldn't believe it. So that's kind of like what got me into the beer. And then I've always been beer adjacent to the community after that. I worked at a nonprofit where I sought out breweries to do fundraising campaigns. I did a few collaboration beers for our campaign. We collaborated with Listerman, Blank Slate when they were here, Braxton, Fretboard. So those were fun times. And then the working the big scale events, just worked with beer vendors to get them in there. Sonder was a great new addition whenever I was working Oktoberfest, and now they're there every year. So it's been, always just a part of my life, I guess.
Yeah. So what was the biggest thing you learned working at Jungle Gyms and learning the beers?
Selling $3 pints of Kentucky bourbon barrel ale to 60 to 65-year-old adults on Monday morning wasn't the best idea. I learned that
great morning to me.
But yeah, no, it was so new.
Take me back to 350 beers.
All the beers were $3 a pint. You got in a big red Solo cup, and you could we could just take this to the store. This was the first time some of these people ever had a beer over 5%. And I remember this one couple, they came back after that pint of Kentucky bourbon, and they drank it probably like a Bud Light. It was probably got down in 15 minutes. I came back blushing. They're like, "That was so good. Can we have another?" And I'm like, "You sure can." Yeah, we had to put a limit on some of that stuff later on.
Yeah, it was like, which one of them drove home?
Oh, yeah.
Then talk a little bit on how the U.S. Beer Open got started and who founded it.
Yeah, it's got quite the history. So the legacy lies with a man named Dow Scoggins. He is still the current owner and founder. Dow, very interesting guy. If you ever get the chance to talk to him, he's got stories on every occasion for every time of day. But Dow got into the beer industry back in the 1980s. He was the first craft brewer in Georgia. He opened up a place called Sonder Brewing, and as you might have guessed it, he opened up with all his friends, and they came together to create just a place for community, for fun. They were a staple in the community. People reached out to them when events were happening. They were in all of the parades. They were like the beer guys there. Now, unfortunately, craft beer wasn't quite there yet during the 80s. People weren't quite ready to drink, Box on the regular and Helles lagers. They were still very attuned to their light beer. They wanted their American lights. So fortunately, the brewery didn't make it, but what did was a long-lasting friendship that Dow had made with his comrades in the brewery. And so they all kind of scattered to different spots. One of them, John Downing, he went to open up almost nearly 100 breweries across the country. Not across the country, across the world. He became just the guy to start breweries. In fact, he became the first licensed brewer in Canada. They give out certificates, and he was like Brewer 001. Now he is the president of the Niagara Brewing and Distilling College.
Oh, wow.
And so he comes back all the time to Dutch too. But before I go down that road, what Dow did, everyone dispersed. Dow had a family to take care of. He was doing things in tech. He got really tech savvy with websites. He created a website called America's Best Online, where he just captured the best of the best in America. And people were looking at when they were planning trips, when they were planning their vacations, or if they were just planning, hey, I want to go check out the best covered bridge in America. Where's that? Dow had it. So after his stint in tech, he was, got his having beers with his buddies, came back, and he's like, what if we created a competition that was like American Beer Fest, but we took all those things that we didn't like about that beer competition, and we did that with our competition. And so he got them together. They said, yeah, that's great. That's a good idea. I love it. We're not going to have feedback forms. It's going to be metal based. Like, your beer either metals or it doesn't. Like, your beer's going to speak for itself. And so he's like, you got the idea. Seed is planted. He's like, you know what? I should probably run this by my wife. Now, his wife has stood with him through thick and thin. When he lost the brewery, she was there. And so when he brought up this idea in beer, she's like, are you kidding me? I imagine she said that. I wasn't there, obviously. I wasn't even born yet. But I imagine she was like, are you kidding me? And her one stipulation was, it has to make money. And I was like, okay, can work with that. Now, Dow goes and researches with other competitions, other online beer blogs. So at the time he had beerinfo.com, which we still run, online blog, and just on how to start something. And the biggest thing that everyone told him is like, well, you should let everyone enter for free. He's like, shoot, that would break the only rule I have with with my wife. So he's like, all right, let's find middle ground. Let's let a brewery enter 2 beers for free. And then after that, everything else, there's the fee of, I think, $35 or $45 back then. And well, after all expenses were paid, which included a flight for John Downing to come down to Georgia to do the judging and pizza for the judges, Dow made out with a profit of $50. But hey, guess what? Made money. And here we are today, 17 years later. We are the 3rd largest craft beer competition in the country, and still growing.
So what made him come up to Ohio?
So Dow's, his blood is in Georgia or Alabama, one of those two. His wife is in marketing, and she had an awesome position to come up to Miami University as their marketing director. And I was like, well, I guess we're taking the show on the road. So the first couple of years that Dow lived up here, he would still have the competition down in Georgia, fly down. His partner, Rick, would have all the beer delivered to his house. You talked to Rick's son, and he said there was a maze of beer cases to his room of all the entries that came in. So then quickly, the competition then moved up to Oxford, Ohio, where Dow ran it out of his house. And then we would rent different venues in Oxford. He's held it in restaurants. He's held it in barns with no AC, which we'll get back to that. We've done small judgings at his house. His basement, when all the beer gets there, it is wall to wall with beers. And we, sort all of them so we know where each one is. A normal person would walk in there and think someone has a massive problem, but, I assure you, everyone's okay. And so did that for a couple years, and that's when I met Dow. I had just left Cincinnati, and they invited me back to do this craft beer 101 class. I worked for a community arts center. They're like, hey, we got this guy coming in. Would you like to MC, introduce him? And I was like, sure, I like beer. I'll help him pour. And so I, introduced Dow and helped him pour for about 50 people. And by the end of it, he's like, hey, you're really good at pouring beer, and you seem to know your stuff. And I was like, thank you. I pride myself in my beer pouring and my beer knowledge. He's like, I have a competition. You want to be a part of it? I was like, that sounds like the best thing in the world. Yeah, so then, I came and I served for a couple years, and then I started judging, and then just how fate had it, he approached me about taking it over. We did about 2 years of negotiation, because that's a strange conversation you have with your wife. You're like, hey, honey, we're thinking about starting a family. What if I go work for this dude in a barn? She's like, what? How's he going to pay you? I'm like, with money, I think it's money. I use a lot of beer. And so, we got over that bridge, and now 3 years in, it's doing great. I love the beer community. I love the brewers I get to talk to. I love meeting people like you at conferences. And I'll come up for air now, take a sip of my beer, so you can
hey, no, it's good. No, you're doing great, man. So what was the first beer you had to judge?
Oh, I can tell you, I can't tell you the beers, but I can tell you some standout categories that I remembered as like some of my first time judging. Newbies back then, they kind of, it was like a trial period. And so my table, we received chili pepper beers, gluten-free beers, not in that order. I'm just kind of chili pepper beers, gluten-free beers, session IPAs. That was a nice one. And I think maybe even smoked beers. But I was like, what? These are beer, like who's making these beers and who's entering them into a competition? This is wild. Now, palate was still young. Now I love chili pepper, smoked beers, all of that's good.
Because I was about to say, smoked beer is a very acquired taste.
Yeah. Yep. And so now,
how did you even judge it?
Well, smoke beer now is like you can you start with the appearance, like you try and figure out the style of beer. Is this an amber? Is this a stout, porter? So, I mean, there's smoked lagers out there that are great, and then you just pick up the aromas, kind of swirl it around to get that nice smoke. And some really good judges or pit masters, I guess, can tell you what wood was used to smoke on those. And then how I like to run the competition too is drinkability. Like, yes, this is an awesome beer. Is it to the style? Great. But if you're tied, like say you got 4 or 5 beers in front of you, narrowed it down, they're all to style. Like they're all great. I was like, are they drinkable? Can you have this outside? Can you have this by a campfire? And then that's how we kind of look at some of our medal winners there once we break down the styles.
I guess we'll go into this right away then. So how do you judge to style? Are you guys straight to the book? Okay, this is how it's supposed to taste, or is drinkability also part of the? It could be straight to the style, but
no, it's a little bit of all of that. And I brought props. I know our listeners can't see it, but this is our 2025 style guide. So each judge receives an updated style guide. We work with the Brewers Association on keeping all of our styles up to date. So what I would do is I'd come to your table, say, Blake, you guys are going to be judging category 16. I think that's fruit IPAs. Let's pick a better one. Pick a category in there. What looks fun?
Milkshake IPAs.
Oh, even worse, man.
I know.
We need a category that has like stature to it. A normal beer category.
Vienna style lager.
Vienna style, perfect. Vienna style lager. I'd be like, Jake, we're gonna be judging. Is that category 87?
Yes.
Cool. Blake, we're gonna be judging category 87 Vienna style lager. So then we give the judges a minute to look over all of the style guidelines of a Vienna style lager. And so while they're doing that, the server is bringing out their beers. It's in marked cups. You have usually 1 through 12. We never give more than 12 samples. Usually we try and keep it at 8 to 10. And then those cups then correspond with the feedback forms they have in front of them, as well as the serving lineup that the servers have. So it all, like whatever is number 1 at the serving table is number 1 in their cup, and it's number 1 on the feedback form. And so then we let them judge based off of that. But we bring 4 judges together for each judging. This gives us balance because we have a very diverse group of judges. I like how this competition was started was by bringing people together that love great beer. And they wanted to do something that was more than just a white glove kind of competition. And so that's why we have like the style guidelines, like here's the beer you're having, doesn't meet this, but also, can you drink it? Can you have this beer, on the back porch with your buddy after working an 8 or 10 hour day? And so at our table, you'll find sometimes a brewmaster, you'll find BJCP, you'll find a beer podcaster or blogger, and then you could find the UPS driver that delivered our beer to us for about like 10 straight years that we were in Oxford. 10, 8, I don't know. The time amount that we were in Oxford. But he loves beer, and he has a right at that table. And so that is the group that will be judging this beer. So you kind of get a well-rounded appearance, because what we want our judging table to look like is the people that are in your tap room drinking your beer.
So how many styles did you start with, and now how many?
It's a good question. I couldn't tell you how many styles. I'm guessing maybe like 30 or 50 at the beginning, because it came off of what GABF was doing. And now we just try and follow the trends. So like you mentioned, milkshake IPA, brought that on board, I believe 3 years ago, because brewers were making these things called milkshake IPAs. We're like, okay, well, let's open up a new category for it. Another new style that we brought on was pastry stouts. Brewers decided, like, hey, let's try throwing Snickers bars and donuts in our mash. Let's see what that does. Fun fact with this, I like to do a few brewers weekend judging, where I get a couple of tables of brewers from around the area. Guess what some of the styles they get first?
The milkshakes,
and the pastry stouts. Yeah. And I tell them, I was like, this is intentional. You did this. You think about what you've done. You judge me. They hate it so much.
But it's what people want. I think it's starting to steer back the other direction, but that's...
Yeah, we are going back in that direction. But
a lot of people like sweet, sugary stuff, and then it just stems, and then that just followed itself into beer.
That's correct.
I mean, I'm the one a few times I'll do it is during like barrel age season. Now it's like, okay, I know I'm going to get them. I'm going to enjoy them.
Yeah, well, that's some trend that I would like to see catch on is we get a few of these entries, but 6-ounce cans of like really thick stouts or something. You know, something that like one person could sit down and enjoy.
Yeah,
where you don't have to crack like a 22-ounce bomber or a 16-ounce can of it.
Oh, you don't get 19.2s there?
We get some. We get cans of all shapes and sizes. We've gotten like a plastic jug once, and it was sealed. It was perfectly carbonated and everything. I've never seen anything like that come through.
So how many beers do people normally send?
So, well, our stipulation is we'll kind of talk about like some of the nuts and bolts. Our entry fee, we like to keep it low. It's $85 per beer. This is to help, pay for the cost of our venue, pay for the cost of everything that goes into making it happen. One thing that we don't want to, we're not in this to get rich. Like I took a pay cut. I'd have a serious conversation with my wife about my future salary. We're in it because we love the craft and we love supporting local brewers. So we want to keep that price point fair. And then in addition to that, we only ask for 3 beers per entry. So, you can, especially if you're sending like some top quality, like barrel aged stouts or things that you are, anytime a beer goes out the door of a brewery, that's part of their margin. That's part of their, profits. So we don't want to cut into that too much. So that's why we only ask for 3. And that seemed to have worked so far. Now, when you factor all of that in, and so minimum of 3, you add in a lot of brewers will send 6 of each beer because they want our volunteers to have some. Some brewers will send us a whole case. We've had pallets delivered before. So we see anywhere from, I think this year was 8,000, and big years, 15,000 individual beers coming into the barn.
Importantly, how many are still there? I'm kidding.
Oh, just a lot. Oh, yeah. So we so for all of our prelims, like anytime a beer advances to another round, we break open a fresh can for that round. So there's always a fresh cold beer going to the judges table. So that dips into those backups. And we just did a big beer move yesterday, actually, where we took all of the beers out of our second cooler and put them in our main cooler. And I joked with one of our volunteers, I'm like, did we even have a competition? Like, there's so much beer here. But we like to give back to the community. So we have the local police department come and raid all of the leftover beer. We let our volunteers and judges come and take a case or 2 if we have leftovers. Past 2 years, I've taken almost a truck bed full to the Cincinnati Police Department to keep them not thirsty. And so yeah, we got a bit left over right now, but we keep everything until the results are out and any contestant questions might come in. So if there is someone who's like, hey, I think that beer is out of range in that style, we have it on hand and we can examine it and see if we need to make any edits.
How often does that happen?
That's me knocking on wood because it hasn't happened yet this year, but maybe once or twice. Usually it's when we're developing a new style. we were the first competition to judge New England IPAs, and we had breweries enter double New England IPAs into that category, and one of them won either gold or silver. And so a brewer reached out and be like, hey, that beer is out of the ABV requirements. So we're like, oh, well, I guess we need to do a double New England IPA category now.
Mm-hmm. So how far do people come from in the United States?
Oh, not even in the United States. We've had international contestants fly in to personally deliver their beer to us.
Okay.
It is wild. And I'm always humbled. I'm just like, man, we're, I know we're still like grassroots and doing this competition, but like you're traveling, seas away to bring this beer here. US, I have personally brought entries back from Anchorage, Alaska once. I have a family out there, and when I visit new places, I reach out to all the local brewers, and one of them's like, hey, I'd love to enter, but I hate the shipping fees. Would you be up for flying back with my entries? I was like, sure.
And they don't even know you, and they just trust you, huh?
Yeah, and they won 2 medals that year, and It's an awesome shout out to Turnagain Brewing in Anchorage. We've had folks drive up from North Carolina. I'd say 4 to 6 hours. People hand deliver it because if you can hand deliver your beer, we encourage that. And then I use resources too. So I don't know if you know Matt up at Masthead Brewing in Cleveland. He called me up. He's like, hey, we had some issues with FedEx last year, UPS. I'm going to just drive them down. I was like, well, hey, dude, my sister lives in Cleveland. She's planning on coming down this weekend for my son's birthday. I bet she can pick up your beers. And so she picked up all of his beers, entries, and, muled them down here to the barn. So whatever we can do to make it easier on brewers, we'll do it.
So we talked about a little bit off here. So what separates your guys' competition compared to the rest of them?
Yeah. Well, I'll go back on a few like quick and easy ones. Price point, we're cheaper. Entry amounts, we don't ask for much. Categories, we have probably the most categories of any competition. Venue, we are the only beer competition to have an official venue. It happens in the same place every year. As soon as your beer is delivered, it gets sorted and is immediately put into our coolers. It's not sitting in a warehouse. It's not sitting on a front porch or a loading dock. It goes right into our coolers. That's a big one. And what I like to do is, I want this to be the brewers' competition. I have been shaping it after the feedback that I received from conversations with brewers. I was actually just on the phone on my way here today with a brewer out in Minnesota, Lakeville Brewing. He had some ideas on a few things that we could, do, and gave me some great feedback. And that's how I continue to improve on the competition. I want this to be for the brewers. And that's why you have so many brewers come and judge. And it's funny because brewers like those that judge the big competitions, they love ours because they don't have to do feedback for them. So this is great. I can just enjoy the good beer. Now, what did I do this year? I introduced feedback forms.
Oh, you did?
Those brewers oh man. But we'll see. That's a work in progress. If any brewers are listening to this, give me your feedback on our feedback. We'll see how we can keep evolving that.
Why did you guys decide to do the feedback forms and stuff?
Well, why we never did it in the first place is because when Dow was brewing at Friends, the feedback he received from Great American was unreliable and not helpful. So he just didn't want to do it. And then whenever I came on board, my first thing when I'd go talk to brewers, I'm like, hey, what do you like about the competition? What do you don't like? What can you see done? 9 out of 10 brewers were like, we would love feedback. We would love feedback. And then I would ask them, what if it's bad feedback? We're like, oh, we don't want that. I was like, well, double-edged sword here. But I, just decided to go ahead and let's make it happen. Let's roll it out. It's right now a very manual process for me, but I've got about 3,000 stacks of judging sheets at home that I need to sort and get to the right brewer. And but I'm happy we did it, and I can't wait to hear their response to it.
Mm-hmm. No, it sounds great. So, where do you I don't know. So, what's your favorite beer category though that you've added so far that was like you didn't think would ever come in, but you're like, oh wow, we're actually judging this?
Dude, that is a great question. And if you would have asked me this like 2 weeks ago, whenever I was staring at all this stuff nonstop, I'd be able to say it right away. Here's one that I hate. I'll start there.
Okay, let's start there.
Smoothie sours.
Brewers, turn your ears off for a second.
Smoothie sours, dude. So you know why I hate them?
They're so gunky.
They explode.
Oh,
I've had these things. I mean, we keep all of our beers at temp, but anytime I've had beers explode within 25 minutes of being outside the cooler, just kind of waiting like in transit. So those are rough. But ones that I like, the pastry stouts are fun because we've gotten such a increase in that I had to create 3 subcategories based off of ABV, because you have some really good, like say a peanut butter stout that's maybe 5%, and then it's going up against a barrel-aged birthday cake, Sunday fun day fudge sauce and caramel on top stout at 15% alcohol. Yeah, that little peanut butter fiver is not doing well. So we created subcategories for those to do some fair judging.
Actually sounds good.
Yeah. A hot day like this, I don't know.
I'm the crazy nut. I'll drink them.
Yeah. But yeah, the milkshake IPAs are fun because you get to see what they like to do. I would like to bring back some categories that we've kind of discontinued. One of them is black IPAs. We have we have a black ale category, so I want to kind of get back into that black IPAs. A lot of people are doing that.
You do see some breweries trying to do that again.
Yep. And other than that, yeah, we've had, pretty good turnout in the new ones. I don't think I introduced anything new last year or this year. I separated some. So our coffee category, we had about 100 entries. And I was able to separate it into light and dark. So I took all the coffee blondes, your ales and stuff, had those judged separately from your coffee stouts and porters and browns.
What makes you decide, hey, okay, I need to create a separate category for the coffee beer? Was it because there was just so much of it, or was it?
Yes. Because one, that helps us do judging a little faster, and we can give a fair judge assessment to the brewery. So we actually split up all of our American fruit beers and fruit weeded beers by the fruit. So you're making, a raspberry ale. It is going to be judged with only raspberry beers. You're making an orange beer, it's only judged with orange beers. If you're making something weird that has a lot of fruit in it, it's going to be with the other weird lot of fruit in it. And we love awarding medals for medal-worthy beer. And what we started to see is that whenever you're grouping so many flavors and styles into one category, it just gets bogged down and almost to the point where it's just, judge's preference. Like, I like this beer better than that beer. Well, why is that? Oh, well, I like IPAs better than stouts. We're like, okay, so how about you judge it on the flavor? So we kind of break things out, and each year we break something out. Actually, this year we had to realize that we were missing an international Pilsner category, and that was like a rice lager. So we went and found all of our rice lagers. They were already judged in the category that they were submitted to, but we're like, let's see if we can do rice. So we got about a dozen or so rice lagers and judged it based on that, and we were able to open up a new category and award some more medals based on the style of beer that brewer was going for.
What's the style that you receive the most of?
That's what? Right?
Are you serious? What is there a certain beer that you see the most on?
Oh yeah. Our largest category this year was New England IPAs. That had about over 150 of those. I mean, that we had 10 on our biggest judging weekend. We have 10 tables running, and I had every table do at least 2 rounds of New England IPAs to get them down in some semifinals.
Some New Englands are great, but there's others that just like, I don't know. It just
yeah. Well, that's why that's why I introduced feedback, because, you know, whenever you get a New England from supposedly a good brewery and it pours brown, we're going to want to let that brewer know, like, there's some oxidization issues somewhere along the way.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I was going back through your terminology on some of the, you know, if you go through the Cicerone, you actually have this on here. Do you ever find that in beers that they send in, like the green apple taste, or you?
Oh, yeah. So in our
or the buttery, or, you know, some of the things you weren't expecting.
Well, hopefully they're not sending in, infected beers. But with our entries, each brewer has a comment section that they can list the hops that were used, the length of the boil, the aging process, the malt they used, and the adjuncts. They can all list that. And then our servers have that knowledge that they can relate to the judges. This helps when we have, like, those crazy categories like anything goes or experimental beers. I can be like, hey, this was an ale that was brewed with dandelion root and then aged underground for 2 months and then re-purified with osmosis water. Like, one, you're like, what the hell is that? But some of these, like, are that out there. They're not that out there because that doesn't make any sense. But they are, you know, they want to be able to convey the story of that beer, and the server helps do that. We had one beer this year that stood out to me because I served it, and it was a experimental category. No, anything goes. Dude, this beer was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. How do you tell your judges, hey, what you're drinking right now is peanut butter and jelly? Well, first you let them kind of figure out. Be like, hey, did you put a sandwich in my beer? You're like, no, that's what the brewer was going for. And knowing what they were going for while judging, that won gold in our magnanimous down in Florida. And so just, you know, you want to keep the judging blind, but in categories that are so amorphous, like anything goes, you want to at least say what the style is, what the adjuncts are. So that way, because sometimes they're like, wow, they missed all of that. I don't even know why they listed it.
What the anything goes category, you mentioned that, is there ever been any others that were like, oh wow, they actually created something like this?
Yeah, almost every single one of them. We got a dessert ale from Urban Artifact that got silver in the anything goes category. 15% super thick golden ale with a bunch of tasty things in it. That was great. You might get some like thing that is just pickle juice and jalapenos, and you're like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's a sour ale with dill and cucumber and jalapenos. Like, oh, well, that makes sense.
So let's talk about some of these year's winners.
Yeah.
Sean, talk to me about how the brewery of the year and stuff like that. How does that go in?
So every year we recognize the Grand National Champion. That is the first place winner by medal count. Regardless of size, you do have to submit at least 5 entries to be considered for Grand National Champion. And this year was a brand new one. They're called Bull and Bush Brewery out of Denver, Colorado. Now, they have been around since 1971. Awesome little brew pub out there. I haven't visited yet, but I will be soon. And they have been in our top 10 for the past 3 or 5 years. Like, they make some great barrel-aged stuff. They make weird stuff. They got the gold medal in tea beer. Sorry, Sonder. Sonder got runner-up silver. They got gold medal for their tea beer, which was called Nappy Nap Time, and it was like a barley wine aged in honey barrels with like sleepy time tea and chamomile, all this stuff. But man, was it good. So they received a few other golds for some of their big beers. And what we do for each Grand National Champion before the results go out, we give him a call about 5 minutes early. So I got to call, his name's Josh, got to call Josh. He doesn't know me. We've only corresponded via email. I was like, hey, Josh, this is Spencer from the U.S. Open Beer Championship. I just cracked a gold medal winning beer of yours, Royal Oil, because we're celebrating that Bull and Bush Brewery just won Grand National Champion of the Year. And dude, the emotion and the like accomplishment feelings that you just hear over the phone, it makes the entire competition worth it. Because it is just such a cool moment to share with that brewery. So I can't wait to go out and share, that moment in person with them. So that, every year we have a Grand National Champion. Last year it was Third Eye Brewing. Shout out to Third Eye, Hamilton, Ohio, and Sharonville. Kelly Montgomery, he's the man. Before that, we had Toppling Goliath. That was a lot of fun. I got to do a road trip all the way out to Decorah, Iowa. By the way, Toppling Goliath, open up more breweries around. Decorah is way too far.
I was about to say, it's right in the middle of cornfields, isn't it?
Yeah. But so we love to celebrate the winners with them in person. This year, though, we rolled out a brewery of the year. So we always did a top 10, but top 10 was always based on medal count. Now, the breweries that are, sending in the most beers and stuff, like they might have an advantage because of size, quality. So we're like, yeah, well, let's model after what GABF does and do brewery of the year by size. And so we got some, I think our smallest brewery, our 0 to 250 barrels, was a little brew pub in, I believe it's Kansas City, called Beercraft. And they were stoked. Like, we never imagined we'd win brewery of the year. And I was like, well, that's, out of all the, you guys had the most medals and most points for that class. And then we also got to award our runner-up, which was Sun King. They got second place and brewer of the year for 15,000 plus barrels. So they were our biggest brewery to win brewery of the year. Now Sun King has won Grand National Champion twice, 2019 and 2022.
Which I've had both David. I have had David on. So.
Oh, nice, dude! David's the man. They were so cool during the Craft Brewers Conference in Indy. Just shout out to them and all the work that they did during that month. So yeah, great brewery. We'll be celebrating with them here in a few weeks, taking out their trophy. And then third place in Brewery of the Year is Wild Barley Kitchen and Brewery, a little brewery out of San Antonio, Texas. And man, they made some crazy good beers. They had beers in almost every category that they could enter, and they did really well. Other breweries of the year, we had. Well, I gotta look at my notes. They're not in front of me. You remember them, Blake? They're not in there. I'll pull it up. All right, here we go. I was gonna say we got the intermission music. Hop Dogma Brewing Company out of California, Brewery of the Year for 501 to 1,000 barrels. These guys nailed New England IPAs, West Coast IPAs. If you get a chance to visit them out in Cali, they're from Clovis, California. Awesome brewery. That's Hop Dogma. And then the other one is Confluence Brewing out of Des Moines, Iowa. Confluence got Brewery of the Year in our 5,001 to 5,001 to 15,000. So pretty big size brewery. That's Confluence, Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh wow! How far is that from Topping? I'm kidding.
Far.
Topping Goliath. How far?
I don't know, but I will be going out there. So we also do a hard seltzer competition, and our Grand National Championship for hard seltzer was a brewery called Barntown Brewing, and they're in Des Moines. So we'll be going and visiting them and giving them some hardware and trophies.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about when does the cider come down?
So our next competition in the pipeline is the U.S. Open Cider Championship. Registration's open right now. I believe the deadline is late September, early October, and then we'll be judging that in October.
So have you thought of expanding since THC has slowly started growing into? Have you thought about it?
Oh yeah, dude. We had a THC category this year in our hard seltzer competition. Okay. That was the largest category. So last year we introduced it, THC category. We got a dozen entries, maybe 20 entries. This year it was over 50. Oh, wow. We had to break it up. We broke it up this year by style, by flavor. I'm going to be talking with some local producers to see how we can break it up further based off of dosage and other things. That is a hard one. That's a weird, you can't really just fold in THC beverages to a beer judging competition. Hey guys, All right, you just did Pilsners. Next up is 10 milligram THC sodas. Like, what?
That probably would be a good idea.
So, but that's a new one. We're working on it. It's taken over the market. You know, we hear a lot from breweries that are doing it. And we're working with the brewers to see how we can judge it properly.
How do you judge something like that? You know, most people know this by now on my podcast. Like, I'm a fourth-wheel driver, so you'll never hear me talk. You know, I'll talk about it, but I just can't drink it.
Yeah.
It's just not a good idea. So
it's I'm there with you. It's not something I partake in regularly unless I'm like at home and not going anywhere. Yeah. But
I'm talking about the drug testing. That's why.
Oh yeah. We have judges that actually, you know, they work, for the government, and they're just like, I can't do that at all, you know. And so it's like an invite to judge it, and then, you know, if they're up for it. But judging it right now, we're just based off flavor, drinkability. A lot of them that I've tried, it's like, do you want to taste like the kind of that marijuana taste or not? And it's a tough one, man. It's like kind of judging sodas.
Do you have a lot of chips around too? I'm kidding.
Yeah. Got DoorDash on speed dial, ready to go.
So obviously U.S. Beer Open has been growing. Where would you like to see it go in the future?
So my long-term goals of this is, I think, first to make something for the East Coast and Midwest that is what GABF has done for the West. You know, we have so many breweries out there making such great beer, winning, medal, winning, intentionally winning, at GABF, but it's a proximity thing sometimes too, And so I would like to see that become us here for the East Coast. Ideally, I would love to do a beer festival that is similar to GABF. I'm studying the markets of festivals. They're kind of dwindling right now. And so it's a changing environment. I mean, you and me, 10 years ago, we were in line just to get tickets for a beer fest or even a beer release. And now it's just so easy to obtain, or life happens. Like, I can't stand in line. I love craft beer. I can't be at a beer fest till 10 p.m. Like, I got, family to come home to.
So take the family. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So we'll see where that turns into.
So you like to have a beer festival over in Oxford?
No, I'd probably look in Cincinnati. But we could start small in Oxford. There's a cool brewery actually in northern Indianapolis called Pax Verum. I always get it wrong. But they do a cool one called Way Out There Beer Fest. And it's intentional. They're out in the middle of nowhere. They bring a ton of good breweries in, and they have a lot of great beer. I'm like, well, we could do a U.S. Open, coming home beer fest or something like that.
Because one I haven't done, I've been trying to do some years. One of the biggest ones I see is 450 North that does this corn maze.
Oh, yeah.
But brings in all these breweries. It just sounds like a fun day.
Yep. Haven't been. I've been to 450, but corn maze is a good time. I'll say I'm going to one I'm looking forward to because I love going to beer festivals, to support brewers. Wandering Monsters is hosting a thing called Confluence of Hops.
Oh, yeah. That's I just read that.
And I already got my ticket. Jason, don't hound me. I got it. But
talk about a brewery. Sorry to interrupt you, but talk about a brewery that has come out firing on all cylinders.
Oh, dude, they hit the ground running. They're like, hey, we're opening up, and we have collaborations with Weldworks and more brewing on tap. It's like, dude, what? That's nuts.
Now they have stuff like Other Half and stuff like that. It's like,
well, the cool thing about this festival is he's bringing in people like Magnanimous and there's another one.
I saw Narrow Gauge.
Narrow Gauge?
Uh-huh.
Saw Black Stack. Who else is on that list? But anyways, he's bringing in breweries that I have medals to award. And so I reached out to him. I was like, hey, would you be up if I brought the medals for these breweries to your festival? And he's like, dude, hell yeah, that's awesome. And so I get to go award medals to breweries from Florida and other states that I wouldn't, otherwise would just be, arrived in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of partnerships and friendships I like to foster, is just, bringing people together for beer, to celebrate beer. When we judge beer, we judge it. It's not a critical thing. We want to judge it like you want it to be drank.
Mm-hmm. What's the proudest moment you've had so far being in the position you're in?
Oh, there's a few ones. I'll say the call I had with Josh Bullenbush a couple days ago was pretty solid. Letting him know. I did this 18-hour road trip to Decorah, Iowa to present the entire team of Toppling Goliath with their Grand National Championship trophy. That was unreal. Presented it to Mike, and we just had a tour of the entire facility. He gave us the whole story. That was a nice moment. And then some other ones, like just along the travels, if I'm going somewhere and it's around medal delivery time, I might have a bronze medal for a small brewery that's just on my route. I hit them up, like, hey, are you in town? Are you available during this time? They're like, yeah, they come by and, bring their bronze medal to them. And this happened in Madison, Wisconsin, Starkweather Brewing, small operation. But, he couldn't believe that I was out there personally delivering that medal. And that's what we strive to do. Dal built this on that process. You talk to any brewer that's been in it for a while, he's like, oh, yeah, how far has Dal traveled this year? And so he's gotten as far as Big Island, in Hawaii to deliver stuff.
Have you been to Hawaii yet to do
no,
that?
I'm waiting for Hawaii Brewery to win first place.
That'd be a trip. You're probably taking your wife on that one, aren't you?
She might want to go. But yeah, it's an awesome competition. I'm humbled every day that this is my job. And I love the community, and the community has really embraced me as someone who doesn't have a brewing background to come into it. And so, to anyone listening, I'm always open up for feedback. I'm always down to have a beer. And Blake, thank you so much for having me, man. This is great.
I appreciate you for the time and effort you've had with me, and hope to have you back on again sometime in the future, man.
Can't wait.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.